Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Now going to Webster Griffin Tarpley of Tarpley.net. He's an economist. He has a doctorate in history. He also features widely in Fall of the Republic and the Obama Deception, our upcoming eugenics film. And Webster Griffin Tarpley, I wanted to get him on China announcing in their big Chinese daily, ChinaDaily.com. China, Russia yesterday agreed to quit the dollar in all their inter-country transactions with each other. We've got the North Korean situation, which looks like a provocation on my end. I'm not defending North Korea. They're monsters. But well, let's get Tarpley's view on this and then the TSA. Webster, good to have you here with us.
Thank you, Alex. Maybe I could just say first, concerning this circus, as you say, in the airports, just two facts to remember that might have gotten lost after all these months. You remember a couple of days after Mutalab was nabbed on Christmas Day, we had this guy, Richard Wolff, this effete British fellow who talks to Olbermann on MSNBC, and he came out and said, my sources in the White House tell me that this incident was deliberately created. And then he said, we think to make Obama look bad. But the heart of the analysis was correct. The incident was deliberately created, and that was on MSNBC cable news within a week or 10 days after the incident had occurred. And then, of course, it was covered up. But there was a moment where even the Obama White House realized that the rogue network had created this. The second thing is, in actual hearings in front of a House committee, Patrick Kennedy, the Deputy Secretary of State for Consular Affairs for Visas, said that there was an interagency task force meeting, and the State Department had come forward and said, we have given a visa to Mutalab, but we'd like to revoke it. We want to take it away from him because he's now in Yemen and he's going to different terror camps and so forth. So we want to take the visa away. And the answer came from an unnamed agency, still unnamed as far as I know, saying, no, don't touch him. We've got eyes on him. We're following him. He's a little fish. He'll lead us to the big fish. It's essential that you not take his visa away. Of course, if you took the guy's visa away, he couldn't get on the plane, and therefore no incident, no circus, no hysteria, and no opportunity for Chertoff to go on television and say, now it's time for these full-body scanners and so forth. So this was a manufactured incident, and people should remember this, that there's no basis for what they're doing. We don't need body scanners. We need mold detectors. We've got to have mold detectors installed at the FBI and the National Security Agency and the National Security Council and throughout the government, right? Mold detectors to know if people are actually government officials trying to do a job or whether they're loyal to some shadowy rogue network going back to God knows what, to 9/11, to the Kennedy assassination, the Gulf of Tonkin, and all the other things that we've seen over the past decade.
Well, Webster, where do you see all of this going?
Well, it's again, we look back to the 1930s. You can see this three-phase process, right? Depression, economic depression, followed by dictatorship, followed by world war. And the big problem we have right now is we're in the depression phase, but we can see the dictatorship elements gathering and becoming stronger in the society. And the problem with that is once you get into the dictatorship phase, it's almost impossible to stop the third phase, which is the world war phase, because that's where it ultimately leads. The political forces that could have stopped World War II had been destroyed in places like Germany and Italy during the dictatorship phase. So I think the ultimate thing is the only way to fight this is you've got to get out of the depression. You've got to have a broad-based economic recovery, a return to full employment, a return to prosperity, a return to expanding standards of living. Because if you don't do that, the forces in the society pushing towards police states become overwhelming. Just one example. We got this fraud closure crisis going on. Talk about the sanctity of private property. Yeah, there should be that, and there should be the rule of law. But right now we have a zombie banker can come with fake paperwork and essentially steal your house with the help of a robo-judge and a robo-signer and a bunch of corrupt
that's
paperwork.
the issue, is that there's almost, in history, in these cycles, a time when the ruling class just goes insane, hire secret police to stick their hands down your pants and train you to submit. Started with the Nazis saying papers, please, and ended with women and children stripped, being marched into holes and their heads being blown off, into pits. And, banks just stealing everything, taxes going up. Look at Ireland. They're now openly saying, we want foreign banks to run Ireland. That's the best way. So the banks that have engineered their collapse are now being praised as the solution. Economic conquest is sold as if it's some type of wonderful thing. And no one stops the crazy elites, and then they're just going to drive us into a chutzpah or arrogance or bravado-filled World War III. I guess that's it.
Certainly in the case of Ireland, if you have a government that comes forward with an austerity plan that consciously and deliberately says they're going to destroy 12% of the gross national product of Ireland in the year 2011.
Yeah. Just to be clear, they say we're going into receivership to foreign banks. That was in Reuters with government officials saying, we believe foreign banks should run us. This is now just brazen. We are sellouts. We are tyrants. And the banks that are taking over are the ones that engineered it. That's why they were brought into the EU, so they could do this raping. And next is Portugal, next is Spain, then England, then France, then Germany. Correct, Webster?
Yes, certainly. And the thing, though, is that the forces that resist this need a program. For example, today in Portugal, we have reportedly the biggest labor action, the biggest general strike in 20 years in Portugal against the idea that a Greek or Irish-style austerity plan will come to them. The problem is that the people who lead this are the forces of the Second International, the Socialist International. That means Papandreou in Greece, socialist, Socrates in Portugal, another so-called socialist, and Zapatero in Spain. And the demands that they make are absolutely inadequate. You look at the Irish austerity plan, they want to have the minimum wage reduced for the average person. They want to have the sales tax go from 21 to 23%. Where's the tax on the banks? Where's the Wall Street sales tax? Where's the Tobin tax, the turnover tax? The way to make the banks pay for the crisis that they have themselves created. And where, above all, in the case of Ireland, you've got three zombie banks that are dragging the country down into absolute ruin, destitution, and I would have to say genocide.
Webster, I want to get back into North Korea. I want to get back into TSA. I want to get back into all this, but specifically, where do you see this going? This is clearly an acceleration of the degeneration towards total global depression as the banks that control the U.S. continue devaluing the currency, then blaming China and Russia for getting concerned. And now China and Russia say when we sell oil or gas to each other, when we sell rare minerals from China that they mine worldwide, Australia and Africa, that they have the biggest 90+% of the production of now, that was a good strategic move, that when they sell finished goods to Russia, it's going to be in their own currencies now, or it's going to be in gold, or it's going to be in SDRs. Is this not a big a signpost we just passed that Putin and the Chinese premier just signed this deal yesterday?
Certainly the idea that the dollar is indispensable for transfers between China and Russia is it's absurd, right? You'd also wonder if Russia is selling oil to the European Union, why does the dollar get into that one either? This stuff is all obsolete and it's absurd, but where it goes is if you don't stop the depression, there's no civil liberties argument or, how can I say, anti-dictatorship argument that works as long as you have a depression and mass unemployment going on. You need to have programmatic fight against this kind of
No, I know, Webster. Every time you come on, no matter what issue it is, and we always appreciate it, you go back to solutions. We've covered them. I mean, we know your ideas to fix this. I mean, the thing is, you're saying don't drive the bus off the cliff. The bus has already gone off the cliff. They're not listening to you. In fact, they're accelerating what is going to cause the destruction. Well, so what do we do about that? I mean, we demonize the bankers because they deserve it. And we expose them in the court of public opinion so people know who is the author of our ruin. I think that's the most important thing to do.
Certainly, but you've got to have a program to get out of it, and then people have to become politically aware. So
you like Obama's idea of a national train?
The national train?
Well, no, I mean, he wants this coast-to-coast, speed bullet train.
Hey, listen, this idea was there. The idea has been there long before Obama, and the question is, how do you pay for it? Look, Bernanke says $600 billion of quantitative easing. $600 billion. I say commandeer that money, and that's your down payment on 100,000 miles of fast rail and maglev. And this has got nothing to do with Obama. Obama's a big faker. Obama brings this up when he can't do it anymore, right? If he was going to do it, why didn't he do it in the first couple of weeks? If you started to build 100,000 miles of maglev and fast rail, you'd have an economic recovery, and people would be able to point to that in their communities all over the United States. And, of course, the people doing this would be private sector contractors. It would revive construction, engineering, steel production, rolling stock, a whole series of industries would now be...
No, I know. That's why I raised the point, but they're not doing that from that, classical... infrastructure Americana perspective. Sure. China's doing that. The elites have decided to basically suck this country dry, demonize us for all of their exploits, and leave us holding the bag. So again, how does this North Korea thing tie into it?
All right, now this, I think this is pretty obvious. I mean, this is the kind of circus we've seen again and again and again. The occasion for this is this maneuver, which is held periodically, called Hoguk, H-O-G-U-K.
All right, stay there. Final segment. Come back and get into North Korea, because now they're sending a U.S. carrier. They're saying they're going to do drills basically in the same area, trying to get a provocation from the lunatics in North Korea, proxies for the Chi-Coms. Webster Griffin Tarpley is our guest. It's national, no fly. We're not your slaves. You're not sticking your hand down our pants day. We'll have all the developments at Infowars.com and PresidentBlender.com.